I find foreigners very tedious as well.
A tedious collection of hours.
That he'd spent 4 years fulfilling the absurd and tedious duty of graduating from college.
Welcome back, language lovers, to another Talk Word Explainer. If you're ready to, move beyond just the absolute basics and start sounding incredibly natural and precise in English, well, you are literally in exactly the right place. Today, we're unpacking a highly specific but totally universally understood feeling. We're going to dive right into its meaning, its origin, and exactly how to use it in the real world. Let's get into it. So before I actually reveal the word, I want you to think about this. Have you ever done a task so insanely repetitive, so unbelievably mind-numbing, that it honestly made you want to scream? Just think about that for a second, right? Maybe it was copying hundreds of names from one list to another. Or, oh man, peeling an absolute mountain of tiny potatoes for a huge family dinner. Your hands are moving, your brain is just totally shut off, the clock feels like it's literally ticking backward, and you just feel this rising sense of sheer frustration bubbling up inside you. You're not angry exactly, and you're not sad. You were just totally drained by the endless repetition. Well, I want you to hold on to that exact feeling. Keep it right there in your mind. Because in English, we have a very specific name for the beast you are wrestling with in that exact moment. Okay, so let's dive right into section 1, defining the beast. What exactly is tedious? And here it is, the word we're mastering today. Tedious is an adjective, and honestly, it is the absolute perfect vocabulary choice for when you want to complain about something that is just draining the life out of you through sheer boredom and repetition. The definition is literally exactly that. Tiresome because of length, dullness, or repetitive nature. Now, you might have noticed how slowly I just said that. Well, I did that on purpose. The word itself almost feels like the thing it describes, doesn't it? When a task is tedious, it just stretches on and on. It's not just that it lacks excitement, it's that the sheer length of it, combined with how dull and repetitive it is, actively makes you feel physically tired. It exhausts you. Actually, the origin of the word traces all the way back to the Latin word tedium, which literally means weariness or disgust. So when you tell a native English speaker that a task was tedious, you aren't just saying, oh, I didn't enjoy it. No way. You're communicating that the task was a total marathon of dull, repetitive exhaustion. But hey, before we start dropping this into sentences, let's make sure you can say it with total confidence. English pronunciation can be super tricky, I know. But if we break it down into 3 simple steps here, it becomes incredibly easy. Step 1, tea, just like the hot drink, tea. Step 2, D, like the letter D, D. And step 3, us, like the pronoun, us. Now put it all together smoothly and make sure you put the stress right on that very first syllable. Tedious. Tedious. Try saying it out loud wherever you are right now. This is a tedious task. His speech was completely tedious. You might notice that the middle syllable almost softens into a D or even a super soft J sound depending on the speaker's regional accent, but tedious is universally understood and perfectly clear. All right, moving right along to section 2, nuance and comparisons. Welcome to the word rivalry. Now, as an English learner, you probably already have some words in your vocabulary that mean something kind of similar. But true fluency, that isn't just knowing a lot of words, it's knowing the exact right word for the exact right moment. So, to sound truly fluent, we need to distinguish our new champion from its simpler, much more common rival. Boring versus tedious. Look, boring is a great word. It simply means something lacks interest or excitement, right? A movie can be boring if nothing happens for the first 20 minutes. Staring at a blank wall? Yeah, that's boring. But tedious? Wow, that is on a whole different level. Tedious is exhaustingly tiresome due to extreme length or painful repetition. Let me give you a quick analogy. Sitting in an empty waiting room with no phone and 0 magazines is boring, but being handed a toothbrush and being told to scrub the entire floor of that same waiting room, that is tedious. You see the difference? All tedious things are boring, but not all boring things are tedious. Tedious requires actual effort, time, and that mind-numbing repetition we talked about earlier. Using tedious instead of boring is a real game changer. It instantly upgrades your English from intermediate to advanced because it shows you really grasp that subtle, powerful difference. Which brings us to section 3, real-world usage. Let's explore the natural habitat of this word. So, we've defined it, we've pronounced it, we've compared it. But when do native speakers actually use this word in their daily lives? Well, there are a few universally frustrating human experiences that serve as the absolute textbook definition of tedious. First up,
Sorting a massive spreadsheet. Imagine thousands of rows of data, and you have to manually check every single one. Click, scroll, check. Click, scroll, check. It's not intellectually difficult at all, but it is incredibly tedious. Second, waiting in a long line at the DMV or honestly any government office. Slowly shuffling your feet forward about 1 inch every 5 minutes. The sheer length and dullness of that wait is entirely tedious. Third, untangling a massive knot of old wired headphones. We've all been there. You pull one tiny loop, pass a wire through, and boom, you find another knot. It's repetitive, it takes absolutely forever, and it's so frustrating, highly tedious. And finally, filling out repetitive paperwork. Think about writing your name, your address, and your date of birth on like 10 different medical forms. By the 5th form, your hand hurts and your brain is just completely fried. That is a truly tedious process. When you find yourself in these situations, you don't just say, "This is bad." You sigh, shake your head, and you say, "Wow, this is incredibly tedious."
And really, this brings us to a super crucial point. Precise vocabulary doesn't just describe our world. It empowers us to conquer our everyday frustrations by giving them an exact name. When you learn a word like tedious, you aren't just memorizing letters to pass a test. Absolutely not. You are giving yourself the power to express your exact emotional and mental state to the people around you. When you can articulate exactly why a task is difficult, not because it's hard to understand, but because it is tedious, you instantly become a sharper, way more effective communicator. You connect with native speakers on a much deeper level because you're sharing a highly specific yet completely universally understood human experience. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the word tedious. I really hope you found this explanator to be, well, anything but tedious. If you loved breaking down this word and you really want to accelerate your journey to English fluency, you've got to take the next step and master more vocabulary. I highly, highly encourage you to check out our companion app, TalkWord. It is an absolutely incredible tool where you can find engaging podcast-style explanations exactly like this one for virtually any English word you could ever want to learn. It's literally like having an enthusiastic English teacher right there in your pocket. So go download the TalkWord app today and keep building up that precise vocabulary of yours. So to wrap things up, what is the most tedious task you are going to conquer today with your new words? Let us know, and I will see you in the next explainer.